Hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick demo of how to find an unknown length when you're given a volume. So the following shape is here. Following shape has a volume of 224 centimeters cubed. It's asking me to calculate an unknown length. I've drawn a picture here. We have a front side that is 4 by 7 and we have the prism length being my unknown. In this circumstance, I can look at this and say that this is a rectangular prism and I can pick which rectangle I'm going to pick as my base shape. In this circumstance, it makes sense for me to pick the front because when I look at the front picture, I can actually see that this part here has unit lengths on both sides. So if I pick that front as being my base shape, then essentially my prism length, the length or the height of the volume component of volume formula is that n. So again, I'm just simply going to look at this and I'm going to go volume is equal to my base area times my, in this case, I'm going to call it a length because it looks like it's going away from me as opposed to going up and down. So my base area times the length. My volume is a measurement I know, 224 centimeters cubed. My area I can find because I know it is a rectangle, so my base area is going to be found by multiplying my length and my width, and that's going to be multiplied by the length of the actual prism. This length is representing, this length here is representing my rectangle. This length here is representing my prism. So we do get a little confusing in terms of reusing letters and calling different things different words, but meaning them to be different parts of my prism. So it's really important to understand a prism length versus a rectangular length. So looking at this again, I have my volume is 224 centimeters cubed. My length in this case is 4 centimeters. My width is going to be 7 centimeters. And I'm timesing that by my unknown length of my prism. So again, looking at it, I'm just going to rewrite 224 centimeters cubed, can't be changed. Simplifying this, 4 times 7 is 28 centimeters times my length. To get my length by itself then, all I'm going to do, I'll do this in red, I'm simply going to divide both sides by 28. I'm picking 28 because I want to get L by itself. So if I divide by 28 centimeters, divide this side by 28 centimeters, when I go 224 divided by 28, I should be getting, it should give me 8, I believe. 224 divided by 8. 224 divided by 28, sorry, is 8. So yes, my length is 8. So that's how we find the unknowns if we're dealing with a rectangular prism. Again, if it was an unknown for the heights, if the 4 was the unknown and the n was known, I would simply pick a different part of that rectangular prism to be my base shape because they're all rectangles anyway. Things get a little bit, well, simpler if you ask me when you're moving into triangular prisms because a triangular prism can't have anything but a triangle as a base shape. The reason we call it a triangular prism is because we pick the triangle as our base shape. So if I have something that looks like this, and if I give measurements, if I tell you this is 8, let's say I tell you this is 5, this side length is 7, and this side length is 6, and this side length is my unknown. So again, I'm in a situation where I need to turn around and need to solve this, and I need to figure out how long that piece is. So I could turn around and say, well, volume, try and make it a little bit neater here. The volume of the following prism is 160 centimeters cubed. Calculate the unknown. So we're kind of looking at the exact same problem that I had before. The only difference now is I'm looking at following my base area being slightly different. I'm looking at the length being length of the prism. N is my unknown. That's the length of the prism. So I can simply look at this again by saying volume is equal to the area of my base times, I'm going to say length again in this circumstance because my prism is going away from me as opposed to up and down. My base area, my base shape in this circumstance is a triangle. So I'm going to say volume is equal to base times height divided by 2. And I'm going to take that area and multiply it by the length. So all I did was I substituted the formula for a triangular prism as my base area, because in this case, the base shape is a triangle. So using that knowledge, I simply have to start putting my numbers in. Volume we know is 160 cubic centimeters. My base is 8 centimeters. My height is 5 centimeters. And I'm dividing all that by 2, and I'm taking that answer and I'm multiplying it by my n, or my unknown, my length. So all it's a matter of doing now is putting in, kind of completing the question. So I'm going to turn around and say 160 doesn't change on the left side. The right side, however, 8 times 5 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20 centimeters squared times my length. And to solve this, again, I'm simply going to use my algebra. I want to get L by itself. I'm going to divide both sides by 20. And my length turns into 160 divided by 20 is 8 centimeters again. So those are the steps I'm going to go through. I'm using that volume formula, and I'm simply substituting in the variable that I'm missing. Gets trickier when I'm looking for height, and that's the one I talked to you guys about before. In that case, we would just simply solve for the h component in the prism as opposed to the length. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. Let me know if you have any problems.